Tamale Teaching Hospital is on a hot seat. Throughout last week, there was an incident trending on all social media platforms about the death of a certain patient in Tamale Teaching Hospital. The patient was referred to Tamale Teaching Hospital emergency unit. The patient died due to unavailability of bed and ventilators. So when this happened, it was trending on all social media that the hospital is not functionable and the hospital lacks a lot of things to provide the kind of health care Tamale people needed. And the health minister and the whole ministries heard about it. So yesterday, which was 22nd April 2025, the health minister and his team visited Tamale Teaching Hospital uninformed. The health minister visited the hospital with MP for Tamale North, who is Honorable Ahasan Suhuyuni. They went to Tamale Hospital to assess and know the situation on grounds, because a lot of information has been trending and they are talking ill issues about Tamale Teaching Hospital. So they took them by surprise and went to assess the hospital. When they go to the hospital, through the assessment, they saw that a lot of things are not functioning in the hospital. Mostly patient's washroom. They went to assess the washroom in the emergency unit, and the washroom is not functionable. And the explanation the doctors gave the Minister of Health and the other people around was that the facility is not having water. Generally, Tamale have problem with the water supply, which the hospital is not of exception. Due to untidiness of the washroom, they have locked the washroom in the emergency unit, and the patients have to use the public washroom within the hospital, which is not understandable, because when the patient is on admission in the emergency unit, why should the patient go out the unit to use public washroom? And they have locked the washroom in the emergency unit. So the minister said, no, this should not be the major reason. They all understand that Tamale is having water issue, if the hospital is not functional. So if you don't have water, the other way the patient can use the washroom, they can fetch water from the well or other sources to flush it after use, which yielded to unforeseen circumstances, and the minister said, okay, no problem, let's proceed to other places for our assessment.
So what it means is that anybody who comes here will not have access to the washroom. That's what it means.
No, they will have to move to the one at Orange.
I'm saying that.
Yes, by here.
You told me that there's one here and there's a staff. Yes. The staff also have one here, and that's why you brought me here to come and see.
Yes.
Is that not the point?
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's not accessible to the patients.
No, it's only accessible when the taps open.
So
that's the situation. So for a while now, water hasn't been flowing in there. And that's why I wanted you to see. You see that there are sachets. People enter there and they use sachet water and then just dump it there. And that's the situation.
At least, even if it is not being used, they can't clean the place and lock it.
There's no water.
No, you can clean the place.
There's no water to scrub the place.
You don't have water to do anything. You can't make arrangement for the tankers, the tankers to bring water, and so you don't have that arrangement. Dr. T, you are telling me that you can't have water for this place to run this facility.
Let me vouch for my boss a little bit. This is Dr. Valentine. He's the HOD of the emergency. And one night we didn't have water at the emergency, and he himself got them to get the yellow barrels to come and bring water for the nurses to work. So at our level, sometimes my HOD does his best.
Yes, I agree. And I'm the first person to admit that there are challenges with respect to water in Tamale. But that's why you're a leader here, that's why you're a CEO here. Not until we resolve the issue completely. I've been on the committee for a very long time, and we have always been talking about it. And we think, we know that you have a way of providing water for the facility until we solve the issue permanently. And that is what we have been briefing us. We know that the Tamale water challenge goes beyond the facility. It's well known in the country and all that. But you cannot tell me that, because if you're not very careful, people come here and pick the diseases from here and go home. That's what it is. And you know, you're a medical doctor.
Yes, sir.
So they will come here because there's no water. The person is sick. He comes here and fix the disease, and he goes home with the disease because there's no water.
So we have the 2 tankers.
Good.
I think the last week they went the whole day. They were allowed to 4 trips. That 4 trips alone cannot dialyze take care of the dialysis unit for a day. Because when you open one dialysis machine, like you open a tap. So the 4 tankers a day is not enough. So when the water can prioritize, we have the public toilet that we have for patients. So if this one is locked, then they'll use the public one. It's outside, was built by GMPC. So maybe on the way we'll go back there. Only it's a bit far from here. But
So they went to other places, and after everything, the head minister confronted the doctor who was in charge of the emergency unit when the patient died. The head minister asked the doctor a lot of questions about the incidents, and the doctor gave an explanation to everything that happened. But during the communication between the head minister and the doctor, it's like the doctor was not allowing the head minister to talk as much as he wants. Anytime the head minister wants to talk, the doctor will intercept with explanation. So the doctor said, no, the information circulating out there that the hospital is not having bed, the hospital is not having ventilator, the hospital is having, they know that generally the hospital lack a lot of equipment to work on the patients, and due to that, most of the patients died because of unavailability of some equipment. So if the patient died, it's not about their negligence, because the information circulating out there is that the hospital is not adequate, and due to that, their negligence ended up killing those patients. And the doctor said, no, that explanation or what is circulating out there is wrong. The patient came to the hospital as a referral case, and when the patient was brought to the emergency unit, they have to ventilate the patient. And you know, ventilators provide oxygen to patients. This is given to patients who cannot function well, or who have problem with their lungs, who cannot breathe, who cannot perform function of oxygenation. So ventilator is there to provide that support to those patients who have problem with breathing. So the doctor said, no, our unit, the emergency unit, the whole Tamale teaching hospital, the emergency unit have 4 ventilators. And when they brought the patient, the 4 ventilators were occupied. And due to that, they have to transfer the patient to the ICU, the intensive care unit. When they called the intensive care unit, they told them that our place is full, there is no bed available in the unit. And due to that, the doctor, there is no way he can do any magic for the patient to survive. Because if they had enough of ventilators in the emergency unit, they would have provided that care to the patient for him to survive. But no, due to unavailability of ventilators or inadequate ventilators in the emergency unit, the patient died, and the ventilator was the only thing that could have made the patient survive, but it was not there. And the other 4 were used, and the ICU too, they said the place is full and there is no way they can send the patient there. The patient, so it's not about their negligence. There is nothing they could do if the ventilator is not there. But they have to intubate the patient, then connect the ventilator and provide oxygen to the patient, then bring out the carbon dioxide so that the patient could survive. But this is not available. And the doctor gave a lot of explanation, but because of how the communication went, the doctor was not allowing the minister to talk, always talking, and the minister got annoyed because he felt the doctor had disrespected him for not allowing him to talk, always giving explanation. If he asks questions, the doctor will talk too much, and he thinks this is how the doctor treats most of the patients in the hospital.
Occasionally that's happening.
That's what you highlight.
Occasionally that's happening. I think the way forward is for us to have the vents available at the emergency, and then this wouldn't have even happened because we could have intubated the patient without.
So I said what I'm going to say, I said it when I went up there at the ICU. You know how you handle patients, even if the unfortunate happens, it gives them some kind of comfort. Okay, if the patient is broke and you're looking for a certain equipment and it's not gotten to, and then
not coming. But you see, if that communication wasn't done, whoever is making a case out of it wouldn't have even known. Because we make it a point, before we intubate the patient, the family must be informed that this is the next step that is needed. So there's no way somebody would have said that appropriate counseling wasn't done. Then how did we arrive at that point and we call the ICU? So that communication has been done. I don't know what's making the issue blow out of proportion, but there's no circumstances under which a patient will come, need intubation. Intubation, you need consent before you intubate. So there's no way we wouldn't have communicated with the patient. That was done. And we try as much as possible to discuss the prognosis of patients with patient relatives the moment they come, especially for the red zone, which we all know is high dependency. But I think the solution to this is simple. If there were available ventilators here, then we would have intubated the patients, and then this issue wouldn't have even sprung up. That's what I think. Because we have the capacity to have intubated the patient.
Yeah, we all know.
Emergency.
We all know the ideal situation, and we all know what must be done.
There's a problem here. So if a commoner comes here, no, that is not how I treat patients in the hospital. You want explanation, I'm giving you. But the health minister felt no, the doctors disrespected him, and that is not how to talk to a minister or people who are asking you questions, and it yielded to a bad situation. And now they have sacked the CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital, Mr. Atiku, who is the CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital. They have sacked him because they felt he is not competent, he lacks a lot of skills, because for a whole teaching hospital to lack such a great or such a major equipment is ununderstandable. So they have to sack the CEO for Tamale Teaching Hospital. A lot of investigation is ongoing because there are a lot of incidents going on in the hospital. People are talking a lot about Tamale Teaching Hospital. Some are even saying Tamale Teaching Hospital is a death trap. It shouldn't be so, because as a referral center, it shouldn't be so. People thinking that when you send your patient here, the patient will die. When you send your patient here, the patient is not good, because generally there are issues with a lot of hospitals. So certain things should not be tolerated. Due to that, they have sacked the CEO, and they are doing a lot of investigation, and all the equipment which are not functionable, the minister has promised to provide them and make sure everything is working in the hospital. Their washroom is having problem, water supply is another situation. So we entreat each and everyone to give the kind of care the patients need, so that in case such happens, you give better explanation to the public. Thank you very much. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share my videos. Thank you.